Indeed, the negotiation of the long-term budget, known as the MFF, the Multi-Annual Financial Framework, has taken almost 2 years. And I believe it is because the European Parliament insisted in increasing the budget, whereas the member states, and notably the UK, had decided that it was time to reflect austerity also on the European budget and not only leave it to the member states. It obviously took a number of meetings and negotiations and even several European presidencies until the Irish managed to get this agreement. I think that the negotiation that David Cameron achieved in February, when he got the budget to be reduced to 960 billion euros for the 7-year term that starts in 2014, was essentially the basis for the negotiation. And people were not looking to change the amount because they thought that it was a lost battle, really. I think David Cameron achieved a good start, and he also showed that he was not ready to give more money to the European Union budget. So I think this message was heard. And what the Parliament has been trying to get is more flexibility. What does flexibility mean? Well, it means that when there is budget that has not been used at the end of each year, this amount of money can go to the next year. What happened up to now is that any amount of money that had not been spent would go back to the member states. So now they have the flexibility to push the money into future years. This is good to a certain extent because sometimes the projects don't go as people think they're going to go at the beginning. Sometimes projects take more time. Projects need co-financing, and sometimes the member states don't have the money to co-finance. But on the other hand, it could mean that the money is then used for other projects that were not in the original plan. And what I'm saying is that the Parliament, I would say the Commission, would be tempted to maybe use funds that have not been spent in investigation to pay for agricultural projects or for agricultural funding. And then this wouldn't be the right thing to do. Indeed, since I became an MEP, I have been fighting for a reduction in the EU budget. And I was the only one fighting for this reduction because even if Mr. Cameron achieved this reduction, until last year, he was calling for a freeze. I have always fought for a reduction because I believe that a lot of money is being wasted or misappropriated. There is a lot of bad use of the money, and I think we have a lot more room to reduce the budget. Firstly, we should take into consideration that the auditors every year tell us that an average of 3 to 4% of the budget is gone lost, so to speak, misappropriated. And they call it irregular use, but I would say it's fraudulent use. And this is a big chunk of money. But also, they invest in projects that are not really adding any value to the EU, to the member states. For example, this Galileo project where the technology has already been sort of improved by the US, and we are putting a lot of money into it. Then there are also vanity projects like the European History House. Okay, maybe that's the amount of money is not huge. We are talking about 25 to 30 million, but we don't need this type of things. Then we have whole policy areas that we could do away with, such as the one Baroness Ashton leads, the European External Action Service. Actually, this service has not achieved anything for the EU since it started to exist. So, and the main decisions in external policy should be left to the member states, who are the ones at the end of the day who will send their armed forces to fight for different things. So I think there is huge room for further reductions.